Tenor Neil Shicoff returns to lyric opera for the first time since his debut here as Rodolfo in 1979. A native of New York City, he appears regularly at the Metropolitan Opera and at the major European opera houses. Evans Morages talked with him during rehearsals and inquired about Mr. Shicoff's recent move into darker, heavier roles.
Oh, I think it's the next step in where I am. I've done an extensive amount of French repertoire. Hoffmann this year is Manon for the first time. What else have I done? Werther, Faust. I wanted to go one step heavier than I've been working. For the future, for me, lies Tosca this year, and then the following season is a new production of Carmen in Covent Garden. And after that, then it's all wide open. I have a feeling it's going to be slow in terms of new heavier repertoire after that. I'm going to see how I digest these two new heavier roles for me. Let's say that I think my voice can handle heavier repertoire. I think it's my mentality that's slow in it. I want to move as slowly as I can. And I think if I had much more stamina, I might move quicker. I find that I don't have that kind of stamina. Maybe that's a blessing for me because it doesn't rush me into heavier repertoire because my voice quality is somewhat on the dark side. It depends on the night. It generally is on the dark side. And I think I could have moved somewhat a little quicker into heavier rep, but it's not in me to do that. A role that I have turned down really consistently, which has been offered to me, is Pique Dame. Now, Pique Dame is a very heavy part.
Interesting, because Lenski isn't, is it?
No, it's totally... You know what? Pique Dame is somewhat like the middle section of Lenski, where there's all that declamatory singing and you're banging on your poor, hopefully white vocal cords that then become pink and red as the evening goes on. And I just don't want them to be black and blue at the end of it. I think it's the part. It's a fantastic dramatic part. It's a part I'd love to do. I'm in negotiations with two different houses at the moment. I think the earliest that I will sing Pique Dame will be probably the 90-91 or 91-92 season. So already I'm thinking far enough ahead where these parts sit.
That must take a considerable skill of vocal prognostication.
I think it's also it's a throw of the craps because you take a guess, you hope it's going to work, and you can come up snake eyes. You can pull a role that for instance, Manon, which seemed perfect for me. Last November, I was to do a new production in Munich, and I felt right before, and I had signed the contract 2 or 3 years before, I felt it was totally at the wrong moment for me for a lot of reasons. And I canceled an entire new production in Munich with Jean-Pierre Ponel directing. Those are the drawbacks. It also is a setback when a singer takes on a commitment and finds at the last minute that he or she feels he's not or she's not ready for it. That's a real setback. It's better to play conservative than to put yourself out on the line.
But being a tenor, you can't be as conservative as a baritone or a soprano.
No, you really can't. That's true. Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, on the other side of the shooting of the craps, there are some really concrete things that I've always wanted to see if I could elicit from a thinking singer like yourself on feedback, vocal feedback you get from yourself that tells you how your voice is developing, let's say performance to performance, month to month. What are some of the things that you hear in yourself, people whom you trust tell you, that say, aha, I think I'm on the bridge of the next step?
Well, you obviously have to have people you trust. At the moment, I like to surround myself with, for instance, a very good voice teacher. For me, the best is Marlene Amalis in New York City. Coaches, there are several coaches I work with, Stephen Lord, Eugene Cohn, who's a conductor at the Met, Joan Dorneman. There are lots of coaches that I've worked with that know my voice extremely well. I'm a person that doesn't... When I was younger, I was better at taking criticism and I was hungrier to experiment and expand. As I got older, I became lazy, I think. And I was a bit hesitant to hear criticism, even from people close to me. Consequently, what happened to me was I worked with a voice teacher about 3 years ago, a very famous tenor, who will remain nameless, but he was an extremely famous tenor, a fantastic voice. And some of the changes that I worked with him, which were very beneficial and positive changes, I then went on the road and did lots of operas in Europe and didn't have anybody listening to me. although my wife was certainly telling me what she was hearing, I was really ignoring her. And I ran into vocal problems. It took me facing all of this smack on by not getting through performances and walking out of performances. And one day my wife said to me, I know that, you don't want to hear this, but you've got to study and you've got to take everything back and rework it, which was something when I was in my 20s. Was an incredible joy and love for me to do, was to take apart my voice and work on it with one voice teacher and a coach, and I was very, very ambitious about doing that. Whereas I got into my 30s, I became, I'm not really sure, I have to say I think it was a bit lazy. I picked up other interests from being so consumed by singing and by the career. There were other things that interested me, and I was sidetracked.
What kind of changes did you make right away to sort of get back your patrimony, as it were?
Well, I think I had to realize I was a tenor and not a baritone. I started to sing like a baritone. I was waiting for them to offer me lyric baritone roles soon, and I didn't realize that. When I went to Marlena, she said to me, I think you've got a wonderful voice, but obviously something isn't working. What did we do? Well, there's a lot of technical things we did, and
different exercises?
Oh yeah, a lot of different exercises, a lot of reorientation of my thinking about how to sing, which is still going on. The only thing to say about that is I'm a singer who, the reason I do it is to express my angst, period. I'm here, I do this job to get at what's inside me, which I have been criticized a great deal from people who are close to me. Because what I hear constantly is this is a job that it's a craft, and you've got to be technical about it, and you've got to, you're thinking in the long run. One must think in the long run. And basically, I think that's a true way to think. That's the correct way to think. It's for longevity in a career. I'm not like that as a personality. I'm a in many ways, as to be as honest as I can, and maybe too honest, my mentality is almost a shooting star mentality. But it is because of my whatever intelligence is there inside this tenor brain, forces me to be somewhat conservative. Certainly in repertoire, certainly in a number of performances I sing. I don't sing a lot of performances a year. Now recently my wife and I have bought a home in Connecticut on a lake, and I no longer will book July and August for performances. I will work if a record comes up or something on that level, but not on performances anymore. Because I want to take off the time, I also want to study in that period. I've had recently a discussion with Marlene about where she'll be, and I've also had a discussion with Stephen Lord as to where he'll be, so that I can work during that period to study. If I didn't do all of those things, I would surely not be doing this interview, because I'm a personality that loves to get on stage and give everything every second. Even in the rehearsal period here of the Lucia, the coaching staff has consistently said, can't you give less and can't you be more technical? And they're right. It's a kind of an emotional giving out that I do. I don't think it's right. I must say that. It just is for me. Whether it works, I can't say. I mean, it's part of who I am.
Neil Shicoff speaking with Evans Morages.